You ask great questions, Job, and I appreciate that. This is a very good questions here. Job says, I do wonder what you think about compact content length and the frequent use of emojis in lists. It's nice to consume for humans, but perhaps sometimes it needs more depth. Question. Also, I assume this is supposed to get internal links to other pieces of content. Um, well, the last question, I can answer that later. But compact content coming from a perspective of only saying what you need to say and nothing more. Less is more. So compact is, yeah, 100% on compact. Frequent use of emojis and lists. I've spent a lot of time acing AI is footprints, yeah, these words that AI kept churning out. And if you remember, GPT-3 was terrible for it. It seemed to have like a couple of sets of language. 3.5 got a little bit better. 4 got even better. Yeah, it's over time, it's getting cleaner. But at the end of the day, if you're using the default outputs of GPT, I believe they have what's called a we. It's a mixture of experts, and I presume one of those internally has been given their own unique stylometry. And each one of them are pretty much writing in the same styles. And a couple of people did point out before that over time, with millions and billions of outputs of the content that it's producing is going to be super easy to spot. And it has been. And we've all come across like words and phrases and right here, look, sample blacklist. I think everyone is like familiar with all of these general phrases in the world, delve, dive deep. There are hundreds of them, many lists floating around. And I said I spent the last 3 years basically chasing these around and trying to work them out of the content. But I found better ways is to actually try and create words in a prompt. Write with active voice, be funny, be creative. Stylometry has to go far, far deeper than that. Like show you like here this guide crafting like agent personas. There's so many dialects in English alone. There's like 200 emotions, and people can feel different emotions during a single piece of content. And we're putting into most GPTs and AI prompters are putting into the GPT in their prompts is far too basic. And there's only so many combinations of what they're using, and again, they're just going to create the same footprints over and over. So stylometry is big, and the best way to deal with stylometry is to rather tell the GPT to do something in a unique way rather than trying to tell it not to do things against its own stylometry. So give it a new stylometry. So in this article over here, I actually have a 6-part course over here that kind of goes through all of that. Not the exact kind of setup that I'd use, but a really good base for anyone that wants to learn how to build personas, and you can add, obviously, this is a sample. So when I'd be going for a stylometry, what I'd want to do is probably extract a couple of hours of the voice of the character rather than the text, because there's a lot of noise within online text where the actual author or person may have used AI themselves to create the content. So I think if you're looking for unique stylometry, you can look at things like podcasts. Rogan's stylometry would be very easy to copy because there's, I don't know, tens of thousands of hours of his voice and a huge sample of words, sentence structures. So yeah, I'll show you what I've done here. Stylometry, all right, the blacklist. So here I did like what would Conor McGregor say? I gave him Conor McGregor actual interviews, so he knows how to speak like him. But as you can see, it's quite unique. So this is, and then there was like Chuck Norris. So I've had a lot of fun building personas. And I think this is the key, that if everyone could build their own stylometry, it would be literally building your own unique footprint. And I think that's the way forward, because if we just play around with a few kind of words here and there, it's going to create footprints too quickly as well. Like, it's, if you're going around and you're just changing out words for synonyms, it's going to run out of synonyms very soon too. So stylometry is definitely the path forward. This is Connor again. Oh, I even have one for me. I have one for everybody. This is very good stylometry. I have Klingon too. So as I said, if you go into stylometry, you can actually create content that doesn't contain the footprints AI contains. So yeah, stylometry is definitely the way forward. With emojis, it's about context. Can't go around excluding every word from the English dictionary, every phrase. That blacklist has a list of words, but in the right context, those words could be used. Like the phrase "in the realm of" was a big one. But if I had that in the context of fan fiction, a game, storytelling, well, then that could be the correct opening sentence to use. Like once upon a time in storytelling. So every word has a place. We can't really go around trying to remove every word from the English dictionary, because it'll be just like an eternal whack-a-mole, and it'll be a zero numbers game. But when it comes to emojis, then I would say the same. I would say that emojis have their place in context too. Now, for the purposes of that sample that I did, I've deliberately let it do what it wants to do in any way it wants to do it. So for emojis would be very difficult to add to a fingerprint, despite them looking so obvious to humans that GPT has started using a lot of emojis. You could look at a lot of CMSs, like Elementor is wall-to-wall emojis, I believe, but there's a few out there. And emojis actually, when it comes to semantics, emojis contain a lot of context. So emojis can mean multiple different things to multiple different people, different ages, genders, cultures. Like different emojis mean different things. So I don't think Google would have the resources to even want to try and track that. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about emojis. Again, it's about context. It's like emojis would probably work in certain, like casino. There's a lot of emojis. Gaming, there's a lot of emojis. If it's a young audience, they'll use emojis. So they'd appreciate the emoji rather than obviously middle-aged SEO. Really the context. If emojis fit, you should use emojis. But from a stylistic point of view, working with a GPT, if you don't like emojis, it's just draft this prompt, like draft it without emojis. It will probably do that for you. And at worst case scenario, you take out the emojis at the end. I mean, I'm not going to criticize it too much for using emojis. I don't see it as a footprint. Also, to circle back, when it comes to listicles and, as you were mentioned before, compact content, there is an agent in there who decides what the user expects to see in the SERPs, because there's a SERP feature agent also included, and their focus is to win featured snippets. So if there's a listicle, a table, a quick 2-sentence answer like a PAA box, they're actually optimized to analyze the sentiment of the query and to match that with what the user would expect to see in the SERP. So does this query require a listicle or a concise Boolean logic answer, or does it require a table? So there is actually 2 agents in there that are making that decision for you. So yeah, I believe in that compact listicle type content. It's actually in the article that was published, there was actually 2 tables in that, and I had to turn them into listicles because unfortunately LinkedIn doesn't allow table format. So maybe that was the overuse of listicles. just bear in mind then that two of those listicles that you see in that article were actually originally tables in the video. So yeah, I am an advocate of all forms of content. Direct answer, short answers of the question, listicles, tables, all the works, all the bells and whistles, and there's agents in there to do that. So yeah, just for the purpose of the article that I did, it was just a paste copy straight from GPT. I wasn't going into such high detail. This obviously, it wouldn't be something that I'd go straight to publish with. I'd be probably tweaking around, maybe expanding a couple of things if I understood what I was reading. So with this is GPT, you can always work with it as it's going through a section, as I mentioned. If you wanted to say, oh, let's go a bit more in depth on X, Y, and Z in that section, well, that's just a simple prompt away, But without that human interaction, a basic user can go through all 6 steps, and I'm still confident that they'd come out with a highly optimized article at the end of it, regardless, So the more of advanced user might want to push it on a bit more, and they're fine to do that. It's just the cost of a prompt, and the GPT is built to happily do that for them. So yeah, you're not locked in to a format, but this is the format that I believe would work the best, and people are free to come in and add their own little flavor to it if they want. It's just a prompt away. So yeah. Anyway, 2 great questions, and thank you very much. I hope you don't mind me using your questions as video content.